How do investments work? If you simply want the conclusions about how to invest your money, then Lesson 3 is for you. If you want to understand how I got to those conclusions, then you're in the right spot. This is the ABCs of your 401k. There are 3 classes of investments we'll consider: stocks, bonds, and money market funds. The investment decision is hard because, as a general rule, to get higher average returns, you need to take more risk. First, though, let's talk about taxes. A tax-deferred account like a 401k really helps. That red line shows what you'd get if you invested some money in a regular taxable account. The blue line shows how much better it is to use a 401k. Management fees charged to your account also affect your retirement money. Lower fees are better. Now, let's talk about risk. In investments, risk isn't just the chance that something bad will happen. It's the chance you'll get something other than average, either good or bad. Some risk is necessary in order for you to get a decent return on your money. That's why you need to have a fair amount of stock in your account. But some risk can be reduced without hurting your investment returns. Let's figure out how to do that. If you own one stock, that's pretty risky. But if you own many different stocks, you'll have some going up while others go down. Fortunately, the mutual funds that you'll invest in already have hundreds of different stocks in them. Adding bonds to your stock market investments reduces risk, but also cuts back on your expected return. So the split between stocks and bonds depends on how much risk you can take. You can handle more risk the longer it will be before you need the money. You'll have more years for the good times to average out against the bad times. Don't take more risk than you can sleep with, but you'll be better off financially if you can learn to be comfortable with more risk. If you tend to be the cautious type, learn so that you'll be more comfortable with more risk. Now let me give you some guidelines for investing your 401k. If your company gives you the option of buying individual stocks, don't do it. You need the diversification that comes with mutual funds. Don't put money into company stock. If your company falls on hard times, you could lose both your job and your retirement money. Have a large portion of your money invested in stocks to take advantage of their high average returns. Have a lot of your stock in foreign stocks, which reduce your risk through diversification. Sometimes U.S. stocks are going down when foreign stocks are going up, or vice versa. By having some of both, you are safer than if you only invest in American companies. That may sound weird, but it's how diversification reduces risk. Bonds also help reduce your risk. Not only are they safer than stocks, but they sometimes go up when stocks are going down. But don't go overboard. Once you get over 70% of your money in bonds, you're adding risk because you're so dependent on that one type of investment. Bonds with the lowest risk are short-term. Long-term bonds have the highest risk among bonds, but they're still safer than most stocks. I like a short or intermediate bond fund for your 401ks. If your company offers only a long-term bond fund, here's how you deal with that. Take half of your bond money and buy that long-term bond fund. With the other half of your bond money, buy the money market fund. Now you've created a homemade intermediate bond fund. I recommend that of your stocks, 40% be in American stocks. Of that 40%, put most of it in large companies like the S&P 500. The rest, 6% of your total stocks, should be in small companies. If you don't want to copy these numbers, they're written down in the online lessons you'll find at abcinvesting.com. That 60% of your stock market money that you put into foreign investments, I'd like to see you split it roughly 48% into developed countries like Europe and Japan, and the rest in emerging markets like China and India. Now, here's another complication. I've assumed that you own your own home. If you're renting, then add some real estate to your 401k. You do that through a mutual fund that invests in REITs, real estate investment trusts. Real estate often moves differently than the stock market, so it gives you good diversification. Your total 401k will have fewer highs and fewer lows by adding real estate. But if you already own your own home, you have enough exposure to the real estate market. Next, you want to select your investments and then hold tight. Buy and hold. Nobody's good at figuring out when to go into stocks and when to go out. There's a tendency to jump into stocks after they've already gone up and then sell when they've already gone down. Your emotions will work against you. Better to pick a good, prudent investment strategy and stick with it. You may have a couple of other choices depending on your company's 401k plan. A balanced fund holds both stocks and bonds. Not a bad idea, but you can't be sure just how your mutual fund manager will split the money up. I like the do-it-yourself approach better. There's something else that I like. Life cycle funds, also called target date funds. They start out with a lot of stocks just like I recommend. Over time, however, they dump some stocks and buy more bonds, just as I recommend you do as you get older. So with a target date fund, you have somebody else watching your investments and changing the mix as you get older. It's like investments on autopilot. Pretty cool. Finally, let's talk about rebalancing. If you get your investment split among different funds, then let a year go by, you'll find that you no longer have the percentage allocation that you want. Some funds will have had a better year than others, and they'll now be overweighted in your account. Rebalancing is when you prune back the funds which have grown more than average and add some money to the funds that have grown less than average. It seems backwards, selling your winners and buying more of the losers, but that's what you need to do to stay diversified. Whew, we've covered a lot of ground. The next lesson is about loans and hardship withdrawals. I hope you don't need this lesson, but everyone should be aware of the basic rules. Stay with me, it won't take long. I'm Dr. Bill Connerly, Chief Economist of ABCinvesting.com, and I wrote the book, The ABCs of Your 401k.